In agriculture, trading is often done by description. So, why do we often do a lot of trading by description? Well, whenever we trade by description, it often reduces the need for physical inspection. You don't have to actually go out there and inspect all those different crops. It can help reduce costs. What it does also is it increases competition and price efficiency. But one thing that we must note is that descriptions must be reliable and accurate. So what does all this mean? Let's look at a scenario. So we have, say, Carl the manager over here. Carl the manager, he runs a feedlot in Colorado, and he needs to buy corn. So let's assume that we're living in a world without any descriptions. There is absolutely no kind of descriptions, no qualities, or anything to kind of base what you're buying off of. So if there's absolutely no descriptions and there's no way to tell what everything is, the very first thing that they must do is that every single order must be inspected. Carl, the manager, must have somebody go out there and inspect every single load of corn in order to make sure that they get exactly what they need. What is this going to do? This is going to take up time. It takes up travel. It takes additional personnel to go out and do all that. Time, travel, and personnel, that all costs money. So, by having that description, whenever we have no descriptions, first off, we increase that need for physical inspection and we increase cost right away because now we're having to take up additional time, travel, and personnel in order to do that. And another thing that it does is you are limited regionally. So where you buy your corn from, you are limited to just a very localized area. You can't really travel all that far because of the additional travel costs, additional time, additional personnel. So because we're limited geographically, we have less competition, we have less buyers we could potentially go to. Now let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's say we're actually going to look at it as if we actually do have descriptions. So, Carl the manager, he gets on the phone, he starts calling different elevators. He calls elevators within his area. He calls elevators outside of his localized area. And he just starts calling people. And whenever he finds the best price, guess what? He can just call and place an order. There was less time involved, and there was definitely less travel, and there was less trained personnel. See, because Carl knows that whenever he makes an order based off of this inspected quality, he is reasonably sure that he gets the type of corn that he needs for his place. So he doesn't need to have trained personnel to go out and inspect that corn. He knows exactly what he's getting right off the bat because of the quality grade. So he doesn't need to hire this trained person right here. And guess what? He can buy from anywhere. So Carl the manager, he's a pretty price savvy person. He's not going to go to just a local elevator. He's going to be calling around. He's going to be calling people within his area, people outside of his area, and he's going to buy from the absolute cheapest price. Because he is buying from anywhere and buying at the cheapest price, he is increasing that competition. He is no longer going to just that localized person, and he's going to increase that price efficiency involved with it. Because he can go anywhere and he can buy from anybody, it increases that price efficiency, and it's also going to increase the competition, and Carl the manager now gets the best price that he possibly can. So because Carl the manager can just simply pick up the phone and call, he's saving him costs. He's saving himself time. He doesn't need to go in this physical inspection. And guess what? He can find the absolute best price and increase that price efficiency. Now, one thing that he must be sure of is that these descriptions are reliable and accurate. Because if he cannot guarantee that what he's buying is truly what he's supposed to be buying because of the quality grade, well, then it does absolutely no good to just pick up that phone and call. But if they are reliable, if they are accurate, and he is reasonably sure that he is buying what he's said he's going to buy, then yeah, he can just place a call and save himself some time and travel and the amount of people he has to hire, and he can get the absolute best price. So, how do we buy using descriptions? Well, some of the things that we kind of go off of are descriptive terms. Descriptive terms are those terms that are widespread, have widespread understanding, and definitely are accepted across the board. So if we look at an example such as wheat, we've got stuff like red hard winter wheat, dark northern spring wheat. We've also got different types of wheat such as durum, soft red, or white wheat. If we go out to something like grapefruit, we can say that we've got Texas grapefruit or Florida grapefruit, or we've got different types of products that have this understanding and acceptance. So for the most part, whenever you hear somebody say, I want red hard winter wheat, that is well known and accepted as being a certain type of wheat, and it's very understood, has widespread understanding and acceptance for that. But can you solely base your trading off of just descriptive terms? In no way can you base everything off of just descriptive terms. These descriptive terms are useful. If I walk in and say, you know what, I want Texas grapefruit, that's useful to know because I know what kind of grapefruit I'm getting, but it's seldom sufficient. So where it's seldom sufficient is it doesn't really talk about the quality of this particular good. So let's look at something like red hard or hard red spring wheat. So if you've got two different producers and both of them are dealing with red hard spring wheat, and producer one in his wheat, he's got 2% foreign material and 10% of sunken and broken kernels. So he's got 2% foreign material, 10% sunken and broken kernels. But if you're dealing in a type of commodity where you need really good wheat, and really and truthfully, you don't want that 2% of foreign materials. You might actually want just less than 1% of foreign materials. And you might say, at the same token, I need good wheat, so there can only be 1% or less of this shrunken or broken kernels. Well, there's a major difference between this first farmer's crop and the second farmer's crop right here. There's a large difference there. But both of them are still dealing with that red hard spring wheat. And at the end of the day, that leads into quality does matter. Also, another thing is, whenever you start dealing with these commodities, diversity is inevitable. Through different harvest practices, different transportation practices, different storage practices, there is going to be diversity within the crop. Within a single commodity, there is going to be a diversity. So at the end of the day, that leads to the aspect that quality does matter.